I'm not talking about some woo-woo technique where it's just all spiritual. When you're done, it's like, oh, this was nice. Now I'm back in, my reality. You will experience the change in your physical reality. This is how powerful this is. This is how powerful we are. We have access to all parts of us at any point in time. Hello, lovelies. Hello. I'm so excited to share this experience that I had with you. And it really has to do with why it's important for you to recognize the different aspects of yourself, or what I call it, your 12 archetypal self. So this goes all the way from your inner child to your divine self and in between. It includes your shadow selves and also the different levels of who you are. For example, going back in time and working with your infant self or working with your teen self, they're all important because here's the thing. These aspects of ourselves, these past selves that went through certain hardships and pain and trauma, they're still ruling our lives right now until you recognize that and you bring healing to that aspect of yourself. There's so many people that I meet and I'm like, that's totally your teen self reacting right now, or that's like your toddler self reacting right now, right? There's that notion that once we grow up, that's it. We grow up, we grow out of our younger selves, but the younger selves just go within. They don't disappear. This is what makes us multidimensional. We get to still work with other dimensions of ourselves, which, the past self, the future self, the self that is living in other dimensions and timeline, we have access to all of that. This is why we're called multidimensional. So I wanted to share my experience that I just had like a couple of days ago. I was experiencing fear, this fear, especially when I thought about, my husband going on a trip, or if it's just me alone at home. And I wondered, where is this fear coming from? And I tried everything, I was trying to figure out where this fear was coming from, because it wasn't something that was happening in my present life, creating that. Every time I tuned in, it was like this underlying current, but I couldn't put my hand on what the heck was causing the pain and the fear. And so I saw my therapist earlier this week, and I mentioned that to her because I've already worked with her in terms of working through safety and security in my body, right? That's something I've worked, it's a layer that I've worked on, and she's also helped me deepen into that healing. And this was like the next level I felt. So I brought that up. I was like, this is what I've been feeling. I've been feeling this, this sense of not being safe, but there's nothing going on in my environment that shows that I can connect it to. It feels like something deeper. It's like an underlying current. So she led me through a meditation or visualization. And first she asked me to identify that fear in my body, and I felt it in my chest and also my back. And then she asked me to go deeper, and I love this process that she walks me through. She's used this in different aspects, and it's been so powerful in connecting to other aspects of myself. So I went deeper, and it was like a portal. It was like I was going through a wormhole as I was going deeper into where the fear was located. And eventually I started seeing this view, like this face, and it was me, but it was me as a teen. So eventually I was able to see her very clearly. And yes, it was my teen self, and her facial expression, she looked heavy. She was holding on to something and she couldn't speak it out. Like it's almost like she had to keep it a secret. And she just looked heavy and sad in a way. And so she asked me to dive in deeper with her. The moment I asked her, she started sending me memories of what had happened to me when I was around that age. And one of the things that, one of the memory was, it was basically memories about things that happened to me that were scary, but because I carried so much responsibility and I didn't have anyone to share this with, I kept it to myself. I transformed it into the sense of strength and invincibility. It's like on the outside, that's what you would see, but on the inside, it shook me. So one of the memory was I was sent to go to the open market, and this is when I lived in Ghana. So, I went to go get it. And on my way back, where I walked, it's a busy street. And as I was crossing, this taxi like came out of nowhere and almost hit me. And I remember stopping in front of the taxi and hitting the hood and like looking at the driver, and the driver like looked at me and said, "I'm sorry." And then I walked away. I just walked her, and I remember everyone around was clapping for me. So again, this is what I'm talking about. On the outside, it's like I looked strong and invincible, but on the inside, it's like shit. I almost got hit by a car. And that was one of the memories that she showed me. There was another memory that she showed me that was also pretty scary. And again, it was the same thing where I transformed it into invincibility and strength. And again, I had to do that because I had a lot of responsibilities. I stepped up. I am the oldest in my family. And at that time, I had two younger sisters. And my parents traveled a lot. So it was us and our uncle. Our uncle was the one looking after us. And he did amazing. I mean, he did the best he could. He took us in. He said yes to looking after us when he was young. I think he was probably like 15, 16. I mean, who does that, right? What guy at 15 or 16 will say, "I'm going to take care of your children," right? But he did. He's an angel. He is full-blown archangel on this planet. He's human angel. Being the oldest, like I had to step up so that I can help him, with my sisters. And so I had a lot of responsibilities. And so it's like I didn't give myself time to process or the space to process. And then on top of that, I didn't have anyone that I could talk to about this. Like growing up, apart from my uncle and then my auntie who actually died, they were the two that I would console with. They were the two that I felt comfortable talking to. But my uncle was so busy with everything that, again, I felt like, "Oh, you got it. Like you got it, Abigail. You don't have to burden him with that because he already has so much going on taking care of us." And so I had to transform those scary experiences so that I could continue with life. And so on this journey, she's showing me these two memories, and it made sense. So the moment like it clicked, it was like, whoa, I never thought that was going to affect me now. I mean, this was like when I was probably 13, 14, 15, those 3 years there. This is a while ago. I'm almost 40 now. And it was like still undercurrent. It was still doing this thing until I faced it and healed it. My therapist said, "Why don't you ask her what she needs in order to heal this and to let it go?" And she told me that I should do EFT. And I was like, "Okay." So my therapist was like, "Are you okay doing the EFT right now? Like, do you have time to do it right now?" And I was like, "Yes." So she muted herself and she held the space for me as I went through EFT, like tapping the points and speaking through, like, even though I went through these traumatic experiences and I didn't have anyone else to talk to about this, I still love myself unconditionally. I love and I trust myself unconditionally. And I went through it, just going through what she couldn't say, what she wished she could say, but couldn't say or couldn't tell anyone at that time. I just went through the point. And as I tapped, there was a point where it was towards the end of the EFT. It was like a huge release, like the tightness in my chest, the tightness in my back. I took a deep breath in. It's like I paused, I took a deep breath in, and it just released. It was so like I felt it. I felt when she was able to let go. And it was just freaking amazing. And so afterwards, I checked back in with her, and it was like the sun rose up, like I could see her. And then there was a fire. It's like we're sitting around the fire and she's actually talking to me. Like it opened her up. My therapist said, "Is there anything that you would like to say?" She said, "Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for not judging me." And I know she was saying that not just to me, but also to my therapist. And it just felt good. And one of the things that I said I would do is to share it with more people, and so I shared it with my husband. And again, she's like, she had the biggest smile on when like when I checked in with her. And then now I'm sharing it with you. She doesn't have to feel silent anymore. She doesn't have to carry this secret, this heaviness anymore. She doesn't have to carry this scary experience. And she also doesn't have to pretend that she wasn't afraid anymore. I see her. I acknowledge her fear. And that's one of the things that I used in the EFT, that it was okay for me to be afraid. It was okay for me to be afraid. And I still love myself. And that was like a huge release. This is one of the times that I've used this technique, like I was telling you guys at the beginning, to bring some major healing for, something that I was facing presently. Through this process, I have worked with my older self, and I think she's like more than 100 years old. She lives in Tuscany. She's like my future self. And every time I check in, she's just like in this peaceful, Tuscany with the sunset and this breeze. And she's sitting outside drinking like a delicious glass of wine. And she just feels so fulfilled. She shows me that every step and choice that I'm making at this time counts. It's taking me to the life that I know that I'm here to live. I've also worked with my mother self before I even became a mother, right? And she's kind of like the one who keeps everything together. She's very organized. I've also worked with my inner child, the different stages, like even my infant self, like when I was first born, I've worked with that aspect of myself. And I've also helped my clients connect to these aspects of themselves. There's so much healing there. This is why I love teaching what I teach, that we are multidimensional beings, and the tools that we have available for us to be able to heal and move through this life is not just limited to, what is available to us physically. It goes beyond that. And the sooner you identify yourself as multidimensional and begin to explore these areas of yourself, these different parts of yourself, and it starts with that. Start with you, maybe when you were born, and when you were a teen, like which aspects of yourself went through the most pain and went through traumatic event, went through betrayal, whatever it was. Visit that aspect of yourself and talk to her, with my clients. And this is something that I bring into and teach in my Goddess Unleashed program. They get to visit the aspect of themselves in their heart garden. So they get to have a one-on-one with themselves in their heart garden and just give that aspect of themselves space to be seen, to be heard. And that is so healing, because once they're done with that, they feel the difference in their physical life. I'm not talking about some woo-woo technique where it's just all spiritual. When you're done, it's like, oh, this was nice. Now I'm back in, my reality. You will experience the change in your physical reality. This is how powerful this is. This is how powerful we are. We have access to all parts of us at any point in time. It was so powerful. Like, I love exploring the different areas of the different levels of who I am, all the way to, my divine self, my higher self. I love working with my higher self, which if you've been following me for a while, I talk about connecting with your higher self a lot, your divine self, even past life self. But you begin with exploring the different parts of who you are right now. So this physical life that you're in. And then from there, you can move into past lives. You can move into other dimensional self. I mean, I can give you so many stories when it comes to past lives. And maybe the next episode, I'll share a very potent past life experience that manifested in continuing this lifetime and actually got resolved this lifetime. Thank goodness, because I do not want it to repeat itself again. And I think this was the second time that it had manifest so they can be resolved. So thank goodness. I will share that next time with you. So stay tuned with that. It's definitely a very powerful story and interesting story as well. It has to do with me and my twin flame. I'll talk more about it. So yes. If you love this episode, don't forget to go on Apple Podcasts, leave us a beautiful review so that more people can have access to it. And also go ahead and share it with someone else who you think would be interested in listening to this story. And third, I would love to hear from you. What resonated with you when you were listening to my experience, my story? What did it awaken within you? Have you had the same similar story? I would love to hear from you. All right, my loves, until next time. And remember, if you're interested in joining the Goddess Unleashed, which I teach all of this amazing technique in, because everything that I experience, I want to teach it so that more people know about these tools that are available to us. So if you're interested, the link is below. Register to get in. I close the doors April 30th, and then it won't open again till next year. All right, my loves, from my heart to yours. Until next time.